Oh well, folks. It's it's 6:30, and I know everyone's ready, but just like with any good debate that we set up,
He's a runner. He's a track star.
oh man, but you know what? Maybe,
You're
maybe.
running
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna give him
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
After that, he's shit out of luck. He had a shot.
Well, no,
Yeah.
if he doesn't show up in 5 minutes, but say he shows up in 6 minutes, I'll bring him on to do one thing. Y'all know what that is, right?
Berate him.
That's there you go.
Yeah.
Not even listen to his point, then boot him from the studio permanently. So sorry, folks. We're sorry. But we did set this up, and I will give you a rundown of the email, or rather the inbox that I sent him and the exchange, so that people are aware that we did indeed make our effort to, you know, be in good faith about this and say, yeah, we're gonna do it. So we're gonna go through the what would you call it? All of the exchanges of messages. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So here we have. Let me get the first one here. View, sort by date modified. There we go.
So,
One.
real quickly, for context, where did this guy come up from? He just appeared because
Yeah, he came in from
One of my,
Facebook.
yeah. It's something I
And
posted.
yeah, he was there for Facebook, and then he just went viral from there. So we're gonna, since he's not here, he's still gonna be the topic for a brief second until he's got what, 2 more minutes?
Oh, yeah. And tear his butt up.
3 minutes. All right, here we go. This was the exchange in my inbox. I sent him the link for the show, so he has it. I sent him the thumbnail. He's on it. And his response was, why so aggressive? And what he says, why do aggressive? Just a friendly convo. I told him, see you Friday at 6:30. It's all caps. I'm assuming he thinks I was mad.
oh,
I said, advertise if you want. Come school us, which is what he promised to do. But then he kind of went sideways on us a little bit, because he wanted to tell me what he was doing that day, like I should care. And this is what he said next. Just spent on, it's 9/11. I just spent the evening at Mass Fallen Heroes, revering our brothers and sisters who gave all. Calm the F down.
Oh.
So I said, I'm paid by the Kremlin, remember? So, because he told us that we were paid by the Kremlin in our conversation on the Facebook thread.
Yeah.
He said that Savage Patriots are paid by the Kremlin.
I mean, I wish I was paid by the Kremlin.
I take it.
Kremlin.
Not because they're the Kremlin, just because of the money. That's it.
Apparently, I mean, if it's money, if you pay me, I'll take it. I said, and so I put his quote. This was you. He put a smiley face. Savage Patriots. I'm pretty sure Trump said the Democrats are probably killing newborns, which they are.
Yeah.
The guy is deranged and lies every time he speaks. The only debunking is Savage Patriots and their sponsor, the Kremlin. Friendly? I said, nah. He said, all right, game on. See you boys in a couple of days. I said, either sure or don't. Be sure you cam up as well. So, which I said, this right here. Hold on. Let me grab it. Paste it. There we go. Then I said, I said, make sure you cam up. He said, webcam, any other rules? No. Now, remember, he said he was going to show up.
He's
And
a
it is
runner.
now
He's a
1
track
minute left, and he has not shown up.
Look,
He'd be like, I was at the VA or something.
if there was a way for the Kremlin to pay me, and if they need to pay me just for something, I'll listen. Okay, Putin strong like ox.
Oh,
There
it's
you
like
go.
bad.
Cut my check.
He's treating you like you're a 2-reply Andy, you know, like you just sending too many messages to that one chick, like that's what he's treating you like. It's like this guy is just too into it, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but the thing is, he started this.
Yeah, he
I
did.
mean,
He
don't they
started
all?
this. He wanted to come onto the Patriots and tell us exactly how we are wrong. And when we opened the door for him,
the
and
invite's
send
still
him
there.
the link, make a whole thumbnail for him, dedicate the show for you to come school us, you like the typical left nut wing job you are, you don't show up.
Time's up.
And we're not disrespecting the 9/11 memorial stuff that you did, but why did you feel the need to throw that out there?
Sympathy.
Sympathy.
It's like, and it's not like you wrote in all caps. Maybe he's a boomer. Maybe that happens sometimes where Marlon just happens to put cap locks on. I'm sorry, it happens. Okay.
No, that was intentional.
He
He
wasn't being mad.
them cap locks were intentional.
Right.
Get his attention. Well, I'm right now. I'm on the thread where he's at. Where you at? Did you forget
Most
or
likely.
got scared?
He got scared. I was at the VA, or I was at some veteran something. It's Friday, and there's a veteran cigar night, and we do veteran stuff. Yeah.
Hey, look, we found this out to be the truth, regardless of what platform. It's either this platform, Straight Talk, or Too Strong. Every time someone chimes in and says, I could, and I will, and I do, and you invite them, and you set stuff up just for them, and they promise they'll be somewhere. They never show up.
Nope.
See, the reason why it's upsetting is the fact that like you can get respect from a lot of people, but I am not going to get respect from somebody that basically called me a traitor to my own country.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry, it's not.
Him. He's a veteran.
I know, right?
No,
but it's like why do we need to show respect to people that don't give us the same respect in return? Like if you come out at somebody like that and like instead of like, hey, I'd like to come on and discuss things with you in a proper manner, instead of going, hey, you're paid Kremlin, Putin puppets, and it's like, okay, thank you. I love being told that I'm a traitor on a Wednesday.
Yeah, the only reason he did it because he's one of those, edgy veterans. Coy knows what I'm talking about. It's the edgy ones. They always got an edgy comment. They always got to say something edgy, and he thought he was doing something. Now he doesn't realize that we do this 3 to 4 times a week. We've been doing this for the last 2 years. Coy and I have been podcasting together since 2017. So this is easy for us. But instead of just coming up, like Coy said, hey, man, can I come on and discuss this with you guys?
Yeah.
No, you try.
We've had on people we disagree with all the time. I mean, it's not a big deal. Like I will show you all due respect as long as you show me the same kindness. That's it.
And it's not because
they're not.
And it's not just because you're a veteran. That doesn't just give you automatic respect.
Yeah.
Just understand that.
Don't be a dick if you don't want to be treated like a dick.
It's just weird to me that you don't show when you promise people that you have no problem showing up, that you're not scared at all. Like you are not scared and you are more than willing to do it. And you're all big and bad, even in the inbox. I bet. See you in a few days. And then like you forget how to count hours.
Look, here's what he probably did, Marlon. He probably went and watched a couple episodes. Was like, I don't know about.
Yeah, because
I don't know about going.
I'm just gonna say that. It's just the discourse in America right now. That's just how people are, and it's really kind of sad. I would like to have respectful conversations with people, but the left have taken everything to such extremes when it comes to talking to people. There are some people on the right too. I get that. I don't know how many times, and I practice this all the time, where I've said something snarky or snide in the comments, and then I just deleted it and moved on.
Mm-hmm.
Just deleted it and moved on. I could have said it, but I didn't. It's easy enough to practice. Just delete it.
You know how many times you know how many times I just swipe and I'm just like, so no, forget it. It's not even
exactly.
Not even,
I practice that all the time.
I'm looking for is very specific. I think I may have sent it to the chat. An X post about the migrants. Because I don't know that many people are seeing what's happening right now, but there's this guy that found a in the neighborhood. There were I think 13 cats.
What?
Yeah, 13 neighborhood cats were found dismembered and their entrails just strung out.
I mean,
yeah, I didn't
13.
see that one. We discussed this backstage. Okay, so here's the claim: Haitians don't eat cats. Prior to this event, there were multiple articles on Google itself, by the way. I'm talking about Google, the person that curates all the search results. We already know they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Even pointed out that Haitians, in fact, do eat cats, not because they're poor, by the way, because that would be racist. It's because it's tradition. It's tradition because when they broke free from slavery, they started eating everybody's cats in order to survive, and they just kind of continued on with that. That's the claim. I'm not saying that's true. That's the claim off of these articles, that they do it because of tradition. So if that's the case, you import 20,000 of these people into Springfield, Ohio, where there happens to be a plethora of cats in various places in the United States, lots of them. We try to spay and neuter them to get rid of them, right? So they come in there, and as per tradition, they eat the cats. And because there's probably a high criminality count among those people, they start stealing cats. And they start eating those cats. And you're surprised they're eating cats.
And this is the problem. This is what a lot of Americans are saying. These people come from third world countries and want to turn our first world country into the third world country. They're not here to assimilate.
Nope.
They're here to make this place that's giving them free stuff. And they want to be able to live like they were living in their country while getting all the benefits of being a citizen or someone in this country.
Hey, question for you fellas. Where's PETA?
Good question.
I know, right?
Where's PETA? Just for the ducks alone, where is PETA trying to protect the animals from these Haitian migrants who are going in there and snapping ducks' necks at the park?
They have to choose between seeming as though they hate black people or whether they're trying to save animals. They're stuck between a rock and a very hard place right now.
I don't want to be racist, but
they're doing the same thing.
I know.
They're just helping PETA out.
Yeah.
PETA kills more animals than they freaking rescue. So PETA's like, oh, they're doing us a favor, man. Let them go and eat all them cats up.
Yeah.
This is
Where's
a fake
PETA?
image generated by AI, which is what they probably want you to believe.
Oh,
Let's find out what the news says about it.
All kinds of people sent us this picture, claiming it shows evidence of Haitian migrants catching and
Is that one
eating
or two? It
geese
looks
in
like two.
Springfield. We've
One,
uncovered the picture was actually taken in Columbus on
That's
July
two.
28th. And we pulled this street view from a mapping system to show you exactly where it was taken.
Oh,
The 4700 block of Cleveland Avenue in Columbus. The picture was posted to social media, and Governor Mike DeWine told me it caught the attention of ODNR. All kinds of people sent us this picture, claiming it shows evidence.
Now, my question is this. You're disclaiming where it happened. It's still Ohio, by the way. But you're not talking about the actual image.
Yeah.
You realize that, Mr. Newsman? You don't tell us why a dude is walking down the street with a duck upside down in his hand. You're not telling us why. You just say, well, it's not at least it's not in Springfield.
Yeah, it's at least it's not in Springfield. It's just happening in Columbus.
Fact
they
checkers
make it
was
better.
like, that's partly false.
Yeah, it's
Because
mostly false, yeah.
it wasn't there, it was here. But what about, like Marlon said, what about the actual geese in his
Forget the duck.
hand?
We're talking about where it's at.
It's no, what they do is fact checkers. They go, actually, this is false because this picture was taken in Columbus, Ohio, not Springfield, Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get your facts right.
So the guy was carrying a duck, but the statement is false because it wasn't in Springfield. It was in Columbus.
And this is the cat scenario.
The horrific sight Jackson Heim and others here have seen.
So my mom was out walking her dog and she passed by, saw that a black cat was severed in half.
Cats cut in half, others with their paws cleanly chopped off.
We have not found any blood around any of the bodies that we've picked up, and we've also, all of their internal organs are still around.
Each of these cats are part of a community colony. The first found dead 2 weeks ago. The second cat, this calico named Stella, found mutilated this past Sunday. And the third just reported on Wednesday.
And for this to happen 3 times in 2 weeks when we haven't seen anything like this in 30 years, I find it hard to believe that that's just a random animal attack.
Neighbors that live along Park Drive have filed at least 3 separate reports with Houston police. Animal cruelty detectives are investigating, saying there's simply just not enough evidence to know if this was done by an animal or a person.
Wait, but this is in Houston, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you hear what he said? No. Do you remember what they said? The cat clean that the paws were cut clean off, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now now listen to what he says. The police says.
The detectives are investigating, saying there's simply just not enough evidence to know if this was done by an animal or a person.
We don't know where the other half is.
While we were interviewing Jackson, Houston's BARC team arrived to pick up the remains of the latest victim, collecting them for necropsy a full day after these residents called 911.
We talked to the officers yesterday, and as you can see, the body is still out here being eaten.
Okay. First off, I'm gonna say a couple things. So let's take the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's not migrants eating pets and cats. Maybe it's just a young serial killer getting his up in game. You know, right? He's starting at the small animals. He'll eventually get to the next level, but he's right here, right now. Okay. Maybe if we catch him in time, we can get him some help. That's what the left would probably say. Let's go with that. It's a young serial killer. Don't worry about it.
It's Chupacabra, man. Let's just be honest. This is Chupacabra.
Aliens.
He showed up. Yeah, something else happened. Now, the mere fact that you consider that the paws got cut clean off, and then you try to tell me, well, we don't have enough evidence.
We don't have enough evidence.
A man or an animal. Like,
that was my second point. My second point is Houston needs new detectives, because if they can't figure out if something was cleanly cut apart or if it was chewed on by an animal, they probably aren't solving very many homicides. I'm just going to put that out there.
Bro. Yeah, somebody asked me if I'm having fun. I love animals way too much, and this really disgusts me and pisses me off. Not the topic, because it needs to be talked about. Just seeing that really angers me, and I would go John Wick on every single one of them if given the opportunity.
But apparently, what it's pointing to is that there's a sharp rise of small domesticated animals in certain areas with high influx of immigrants finding themselves butchered. Yeah. It's either them or it's a serial killer. Like I said, it's
like
serial
seriously,
killer.
Like what would you do? Like, say I'm out, I got my dogs at the dog park, and some dude in a loincloth from Haiti comes up and
not a loincloth.
snatches my dog up. Am I just supposed to sit there and just be like, oh yeah, I guess no. It's not going to happen.
And
you're just kebab.
It's just nuts to me that they keep saying that this isn't happening. None of this is happening. None of this stuff is happening. Don't believe your eyes. Don't believe the testimonies from the people that live in the area. They're all racist. It's fine.
Well, okay. Let's just be honest about one thing. Them saying it's not happening is just the same as people telling you that we have a booming economy.
There's not a recession coming.
Not a recession. Kamala's smart. Joe's cognitive is well above normal. These are the same people telling you nothing to see. I keep going back to that movie, Naked Gun. I keep going back. And every time he walks in front of that mall and he steps in front and the whole place is on fire and everything is burning, he said, please move along. There's nothing to see here. Nothing to see. That's the media right now trying to tell you that what people are screaming about. And there was even a lady on TikTok, if I could find her video, where she was crying about the fact that they were doing this and no one's actually doing anything about it. I don't know exactly when people are going to wake up to the fact that you can see something is happening. People are telling you on the ground, and you're waiting to hear from the media to tell you it's not true, to believe it. I even had a guy Michael was there on TikTok yesterday.
Yep.
And this guy comes up and he starts was he talking about the very fine people? Was that one when he was talking about the very fine people one?
He talked about that, and then he talked about the lie about. Well, yeah, it
was the very fine people, the Charlottesville thing.
Yeah.
So I played him the whole clip, the entire clip, even the one where he denounced. He says, "Well, he only denounced the groups of white supremacy, not ever." You see, because you can't convince the people that don't think. You're just not going to be able to.
Hey, Marlon, everybody remember this one, right?
This is the media.
Yeah. And the thing is that what Marlon was saying, you can't convince these people. And we've said it on our show before. You can take these people, place them right there. They can watch it happen with their own eyes, see it, and they still won't believe what they see until the media tells them.
Right.
Yep. But that's also the thing they're saying now, is that the Chaz and Chop never happened. That armed groups of leftist militias didn't take over city blocks and firebomb a federal courthouse. They're saying that never happened now. They're saying Trump lied about that. I know. They're trying to get away with that, but they're saying right now that stuff never happened. The George Floyd riots that caused the death of like at least 30 plus people and caused billions of dollars worth of damages didn't happen. All that's a lie. Trump's just making it up. The fiery but mostly peaceful protests of 2020 didn't happen.
If that's the case, then Kyle Rittenhouse didn't shoot those guys.
Nope.
I know, right?
Facts.
Never happened.
There was no riot there. If
Never
he
happened.
wasn't there for a riot, then he didn't shoot those people. They did not
That's
get
right.
shot. That didn't happen, folks. There was no trial for Cal Rittenhouse at all. Just know that.
There was no trial for the 2 black kids that got shot in Chaz.
No, there's no trial. Oh wait, that really didn't happen. They didn't.
So
Yeah, it
black
didn't
kids
happen.
didn't
Yeah.
according to the left. That never happened.
Yeah, because the media didn't say it. The media doesn't talk about it, and that's the problem with the left. The left relies so much on the government-funded media news. They rely so much on them, so much on those platforms to feed them the information. They don't believe, like Marlon was talking in his live yesterday. You don't believe the people that were on the ground that actually saw this with their own eyes, and they're talking about it. You don't believe those people? He was like, what do you say? Well, people can make stuff up.
Yeah, they do. They
Okay,
do.
if that's the case, then there's a video. I was doing research on the whole shooting with the teenagers and the joyriding, what they claimed. There's a video, a surveillance video showing them chasing this vehicle down and saying, "Get that MFer," and shooting large caliber rounds, 7.62, at the vehicle with AKs. Not just once, not just twice, but unloading in the vehicle.
That's crazy.
Right, but that didn't happen. That never happened.
And it's just like these animals, when Trump got on that stage and said it, they all scoffed at him. They laughed in his face, and it was true. You know what I mean? All of us that were watching it were like, yeah, that's real because we saw the videos.
Yep.
Well, I mean, you can turn the argument back on them. It's like, oh, you know what? Slavery, y'all just made it up.
Yeah, well, y'all didn't see it. Y'all didn't see it.
Remember this one? Remember when Donald Trump said that he was being wiretapped by the government and everybody laughed at him?
That wasn't true.
Yeah.
It's all fake.
That wasn't true, right? Because that's the government. The government said it wasn't true. It wasn't happening. Donald Trump was not being surveilled. He was not being investigated. He was not under wiretaps when he was.
This was in Italy, 2020. That's a Haitian migrant. The reason I'm showing you this picture, and people might say, well, that's not America. I'm not trying to show you the picture because it was America. I'm trying to show you the picture because it's a Haitian. I want to give you guys some information about Haitians. I can be a rapper. So here's the thing, okay? And I'm going to blame primarily the Democrats for this. You might think it's a far-fetched thing, but there is one particular family that was mainly the cause of the actual destruction, the final destruction of Haiti. And that would be the Clintons, okay?
Yeah.
Now, the initial destruction of Haiti began back around under the first Bush. You guys may not remember the kinds of stuff that the first Bush did, but he kicked off quite a few wars between the South American continent and Central America, and quite a few things in the Caribbean as well. So in case people forgot, the first Bush was a demon, and I'm glad he's dead. He should have been dead sooner. May he rot in hell. Same thing to his son. When he eventually dies, good luck being burned. Now, with that being said, in Haiti, they started the destruction by the kinds of tariffs they placed on them, the kinds of laws they put on them, and the kind of trade deals that they did with the people around them in order to keep them impoverished. Now, when that thing happened in Haiti and all the supplies from the Red Cross and the Clinton Foundation went there, they started to blackmail. We know that they took children from there. The entire economic collapse happened because everyone thought that the Clintons were really going to help them out, right? So now you're going over there, and the government is starting to think, okay, we're getting money, but all the money went right back into the coffers of the Clinton Foundation, and none of the money went into fixing Haiti. So when nothing got fixed and the earthquakes were all over with, what happens? Nothing gets rebuilt. What happens to the people? You stay with no home. And when you stay with no home, as recently as 2018, they were eating dirt.
Yeah.
And you think I'm joking? They would break up pots that they had, crush it into fine powder, and find any other foods that they had and bake it, and that's what they would eat. Okay? That was their food. They would also take rats, just like in Venezuela. They would take rats and any other meat source they can find and eat. Okay? Not all Haitians, about 60 to 70% of the population are living like that. And many of them flee. Now, when you flee to another country where there's better meat and you're coming over there and you're just given, what would you call it? Amnesty, we'll call it that. Yeah. Or at least protections, federal protections. Why wouldn't you? You resort to what you know. What you know is there's food walking around this place. Look, there's a cat. Of course I'm going to eat it. I don't think it's vindictive. I don't think it's what you call, I don't think they hate animals. Let me put it, I'm not saying that the Haitians themselves are these vile human beings. They are put in a position where that's all they have. And now they're brought here, hear me out, brought here and given no kind of guidance as to what is normal. And
Culturally
first of all, they're
appropriate,
not
yeah.
even trying to assimilate, okay, that because they don't know how. They have no intentions to, because they're seeing free food walking all over the place.
But that's,
why wouldn't you eat it?
That's true. And here's the other thing is they're getting a stipend from the government. And not a lot of people understand this. The 20,000 people they're talking about are getting at least $1,600 a month. It's not much in today's economy. $600 doesn't go very far, but that's enough to at least feed yourself if you're already getting subsidies for housing and other types of things from the government, right? So they have money for food. They're just seeing an abundance of free options and deciding to eat those.
So to tell me it's not happening is absolute tripe. It's not even a possibility of it couldn't happen, because it very well can happen, and it is happening. And it's not just now. Here, mind you, there are two different kinds of Haitians coming over here. One, the kind that have been impoverished and are looking for food, and then the violent kind because they've been broke and without food, and they figure the violent way to get it is the best way. So you have two different types coming over. The same way with the illegals coming across the border from the south. They are two different kinds. One that may be looking for a good life, but they're pursuing it the absolute wrong way. And then the others who are coming to destroy life over here, like the man that killed the family in New York. There was an illegal that broke into someone's home, killed the entire family, 3 children and the wife and husband. So don't act like these people are not the kinds of folks that are violent. We're not saying every last one of them, but they are all guilty of one crime, breaking and entering. And at minimum, you know what you could do? What I would prefer? How about instead of housing them in hotels, you put them in prison? They still get a meal. In fact, you can make a whole new rule. You can be in prison as a family.
I have a question. We built all these FEMA camps. Why aren't we using them?
Just you put them in there.
Coy, you know they're not for them. They're for us.
Quarantine
I mean,
them.
logically speaking, I know why they wouldn't, because it would look really awful to put a bunch of black people inside of a concentration camp. Might not go over well.
The optics
in the
of
media.
I mean, look at prisons. Come on.
That's a FEMA camp. Okay, let's just be honest. That's a FEMA camp.
They would have to admit FEMA camps are concentration camps at that
And
point.
they would have to admit they built them, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I,
But those
I just think-
exist.
I just think that at this point, there's not a whole lot of right and wrong ways to handle this. The right and wrong will only be a perception. You're only doing this because they're black. You're only doing this because they're immigrants. You're only doing this because I'm doing this because, one, they are guilty of breaking and entering. We can have some humane ways to handle the breaking and entering outside of kicking them right back into the hellhole they came from. Or you can put them in a position where they're not going to affect the normal population of Americans who are trying to make ends meet in an already difficult economy.
Yeah.
Instead, what you're giving them is more than you give the people who are here helping the economy.
Yep.
And that to me is absolute nonsense.
You
I
think
can never get behind you with that.
Here's the other thing. You think the Haitian problem is bad, right? Because you were talking about what the Clintons did there. I mean, look at what's happened in Gaza, how bad that is. Imagine the fallout after the war finally ends, and all of that, and everything's already leveled. There's nothing for them to go back to begin with. So where are they going to go? Well, we got to bring in these people because we have to do something, because even though we paid for the war and caused the war and did all the things for the war, we should help them. We should help them rebuild, or we should help them come integrate into the United States. And then we would bring a bunch of Palestinians who hate us anyway into the United States, which sounds like a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And most of those countries over there, they don't see animals or pets as we see them. You know, you can go to Afghanistan and Iraq. They treat their dogs way different than we treat ours over here. They treat their animals way different. So when they come over here, they see a dog as something dirty, but beneath them, below them. We see them as, some of us, as family members, part of the family.
Mike, you remember how they treated between Iraq and Afghanistan, how they treated dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. Like every culture has a different way of treating certain animals. Some eat them, some have them as pets, and then some just kill them because they're disgusting to them. That's it. Those are the three options in most places in the world. You either eat them, kill them just because, or you have them as pets.
There's two different Haitis as well over there, in case people don't know. There's a militant side to Haiti after the fall, and then there's this fancy one that they like to put towards people in the central city square where all the rich people go to. Okay, this is what normal day-to-day life looks like for most Haitians.
Yeah.
Okay, military running through the streets, telling them what they could and can't do. and most of the people are just trying to live. Then you have the other side of Haiti where they have their villages. This is almost like back home in Antigua, by the way. Streets are unpaved, and then where they are paved is broken down. You might look at this and say it's so green. That has nothing to do with how poor they are and what kind of life. Now, these fruits, these are not things that they buy. They go around picking it and bringing it to the sidewalk. This is just them just trying to make ends meet. Okay. And in case people forgot, what the Clintons left Haiti as was this. This is where they left Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This was the doing of the Clintons. So you're looking at a people who have been absolutely demolished by the Democrats. And I don't care what people tell me. The Clintons were Democrats? Yes. They went over there with their name, and their name was functioning behind the Democrat platform. The Democrats did this. Every war, I would say every 90% of the wars are kingpin functioned by the DNC.
Yep.
Rhinos, of course. Yes, I know we've called out both sides, but the majority of the people that are warmongers are on the left.
Yeah.
Their plan is to destroy a place, leave a vacuum, have something take over. That way they can make more money from that vacuum. This is exactly what they did in Haiti.
Yep. If you don't think that's true, Dick Cheney just endorsed Kamala Harris. I want to remind people that the neocon king himself nominated Kamala Harris, and all of the other so-called Republicans that are also neocons endorsed Kamala Harris. So
it's just crazy.
Because they know all the money's in the military-industrial complex, so they're going to go with the party that supports the military-industrial complex.
But there's also another island we haven't talked about, and that's Puerto Rico. That's the same situation. So look at what happened with all of the relief that they sent to Puerto Rico under Trump's administration. And then the Democrat operatives in Puerto Rico decided to shelve and house that stuff in a warehouse and never give it out, and then say Trump wasn't doing enough.
They let it rot, didn't they? And everything
they
expired
did. They wouldn't it go expired, and they had pallets upon pallets of water, and they never distributed any of it.
I remember we did a whole episode on that.
Yep. So like anytime that the Democrats saying they're coming to help you, that's not true. That is not true.
No.
That should be the scariest thing in the world to you.
And it's no different than overseas and even in our own country. You know, Reagan said it best. Democrats, anytime the Democrats saying they're coming to help, you should know that destruction will follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't Dick Cheney have a weapons manufacturing plant?
Yeah, I think their whole family is invested
Halliburton
heavily
or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you have he's of course it's his daughter, right, Liz?
Yeah. Who got ousted from her position?
Yeah. So she's another one. So when you try to tell me that this particular allowance that they're making, and I'm going to make this point: the allowance that they're making for all the immigrants, allowance they're making for all the violence that's happening, the excuses they're making instead of getting to the bottom of it. This is the crazy part. They're only making excuses as to why it's not true instead of finding out whether it is true and getting to the bottom of it. The reason they're doing that is to try and create in America the same thing that they've done overseas for the last 700 years. Okay, and I know, yes, I'm exaggerating on the time. I know it's only been 200 and something. You get my point. What they end up doing is this. We have been told by Mr. Soros for forever ago now that we are the last place that he has to take down. They've been successful in every other continent, successful in every other country in their demolition, their destruction, taking over. The woke crap is going crazy everywhere. And it just started here about 20 years ago. I mean, the real takeover. But he said it to us. He said that if we are going to have to take on America, we have to take them out differently. We can't go in there with guns. We got to take them out from the inside with laws. What do you think has been happening? Mm-hmm. That's exactly what he's doing. The man's a mastermind of this stuff. But when we say that's happening, oh, you're just being a conspiracy theorist. Good. Then let me be a conspiracy theorist and be right. And you can be an idiot and be wrong. But this is exactly what they're doing. They're breaking down the fabric of America. And if they can get us to infight, they can get us to have civil war within the country. Eventually, the economic collapse will become as a, what do you call that, residual effect. They wouldn't have to say, well, it wasn't my fault. We didn't do that to the economy. It was the American people that brought the economy down because of their bigotry.
Yep. You know what's messed up? And I'm going to say this. Don't get mad at me. It's a hot take. But maybe the worst thing in the world to happen was the Berlin Wall coming down. No, like seriously, think about it for a second. As soon as the wall came down, that made U.S. a single power in the world, and they just took over and did whatever the F they wanted, right?
I mean, Yeah, I can see that point.
And then the European Union and all their stupidness exists today because Germany became a single entity again. Hot take. I'm not saying that's not what should have happened. I'm just saying maybe, just maybe.
I can see it being a strategic move.
Yeah.
I can see it being a strategic move for the end result of what they want, which is for America to be left volatile, because then we have to spend our resources elsewhere. Well, not have to, but we'll have. They give the excuse of having that. I can see that being. I can see
the
it.
Soviets were going to fall eventually, but like all it did was leave the power vacuum of two superpowers in the world to one, and the hegemony of the United States really began in earnest after the fall of the Berlin Wall.
I can see it.
So like all the problems that exist today now are because the wall came down.
Yeah.
So hot take,
look,
just a thought.
I wouldn't call it a hot take, because here's the thing: you have to. Critical thinking requires you thinking outside the box of what could possibly have been. But when you look at that wall going down, okay, let's just take that for instance.
Yeah.
And the whole point of its coming down, the efficacy of it coming down was this idea of no more separation and the rich versus the poor. And right? They were trying to make now, what is that about? Is that about reality or about feeling?
Feeling.
It's all
about feelings, right? So now if I can make you have this hype and make it political and feeling based, I kind of win the populace over to make another decision on feeling again.
But it's also the reason why we regulate monopolies, right? When you have one thing in charge of everything, it becomes an issue. It's the same thing with governments. If you have a superpower that is the only superpower in the world, it becomes a monopoly. And what happens with monopolies? Things go bad. So like that's the way to look at it, is like once we lost the ability to be checked by the communists in Russia, America just kind of went off the rails and said, hey, now we can do whatever we want. And they did. And they started doing whatever they want. They started doing coups. They started wars. They started massive amounts of death and drugs and sales. Like everything from then on has gotten progressively worse because of it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I can't fight the theory you're coming up with, especially when I look around and see what happened post it. Maybe that was the precursor and the reason for 9/11 to begin with.
It's a lot of things, because they got away with so much things. They said, hey, we can keep doing that. Like it was one thing to kill Kennedy, right? And they continued up, but they had to keep up the illusion that we're fighting the Russians, right? We're fighting the communists. We got to keep them in check, right? So that's what they did for the entire time. But then the wall came down and they didn't have an enemy anymore to continue the military industrial complex and to continue what they were doing. So they had to find something new. Introduce in global war on terror.
Yeah, that thing.
That's the new enemy. And then now that's over after 20 years. We need a new one. Russia's back on the menu, boys. That's what we're doing now. We're doing Russia again.
It's an interesting take, because if you look at it from that vantage point, it seems that, and here's the thing, we are not endorsing communism.
No.
But at the same time, it's like the moment the U.S. decided to say, you know, hey, we're all for freedom and we want everybody to experience democracy, it almost got to the point where that became the Trojan horse to bring us to the downfall. And now you have everybody and the mamas on social media talking about how we need to defend our democracy. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
No.
And it goes to show, like, none of this has ever been about, like, as they say, the class issues. They say, oh, there's a disparity between the rich and the poor. But the only people ever talking about that seems to be the rich people. You ever notice that? Every single one of the Democrats who are talking about the wealth disparity are all rich themselves. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Or they're well off, or they're high middle class. One of the two. Like, they have money. They come from money. And they always talking about the wealth disparity. It's crazy.
Okay. So Soros was how old when the wall came down?
He had to be in his like 50s. That dude's like
had to be, he was
He's
an adult.
89 now, right?
Yeah, no, he was an adult during World War II, where he made his money.
Yeah, he's like 80, 90. I don't know. He's old. He's like really old.
Okay. So the reason I asked that is, for a long time he's been pushing for countries to collapse via the dollar, right?
Yeah, he was born in 1930.
Okay, so that's what he did with the ruble. That's what he did with the Indian dollar. That's what he did with a lot of these countries, right? He would go in, and because he was a financier, he would be able to at least push the market in a certain direction, right? He's admitted that. There's a long hour-and-a-half interview with him telling exactly what happened with okay, so he's known for that. What is happening with America right now in its finances?
Our finances in America?
Yeah. The dollar is crashing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I just want to see if people can make that correlation since he said he wanted to have America was the last bastion before that's keeping keeping the world from having the one nation thing. Okay. The
One world
open
government.
society. Okay.
Yep.
So if America is the last place that he needs to stop, and he told you he's trying to break it from the inside out, and our economy is going to pot, and everybody is trying to tell you that it's not in order for it to keep breaking down, who do you think might be behind that? Now, he's also the one for bringing all kinds of people into society in order to break it down. He did that, again, go back to Russia. He did that there too. He did it in India.
Doesn't he own the what is it? The NGO entitled Open Door Society?
Yeah. Yep.
So if I'm tracking this correctly, he's not only trying to fund things that demolishes the value of the American dollar, leaving us citizens destitute and in need of assistance, or at least for the most part, we're struggling. But he's also simultaneously funding an organization that is literally transplanting people into what we could say host nations in order to parasitize these migrants to also bring on a social downfall.
Yes.
A cultural downfall.
Yep.
And go ahead.
No, I was just going to say because if we're talking about, if we're going to be using examples globally, I want to look at Cologne, Germany in 2016 when Germany opened their doors and a flood of military-aged Alu Akbars ran into Cologne, and the next thing you know, rape cases and sexual assault cases started skyrocketing.
Yep.
To the point where even Germany made this ridiculous campaign of no, you tell them, you hold your arm out at arm's length and say no, as if that's going to be a deterrent. But then at the same time, I'm looking also with this whole Haitian thing and some stupid, legislation or mandate is going to come out from Springfield, Ohio's government to where they can just say, no, this is my cat, as if somehow that's going to do anything. But I digress.
No, and one of the main reasons why they love these open borders, because they know if you just open the floodgates, most of the people that come in there don't have to go through the process of assimilation. Usually when you go through the legal process, Marlon would know better than me, but there are certain rules, there are certain gates you have to keep. There are certain rules you have to follow. There are certain things you have to learn. The culture of our country is probably one of them. You have to learn the rules, the laws of the land. You have to learn all that. So they understand when people go through that process, most of the people that do that usually are law-abiding citizens, usually. Yeah. Now, the ones that they just open the floodgates, they have no idea what they're coming into. They don't know the laws. They don't understand the Constitution. They don't know that we don't eat dogs. We don't eat cats, because as Marlon stated earlier, this is what they're used to. They come here, they see a dog, dinner. It doesn't work like that here. So this is all done on purpose. Open the floodgates, dump all the criminals, dump all their insane asylum people into a country. They lose track of them. These people just intermingle within the populace. Now we got a bunch of crazy people out here. They knew this was going to happen. So when the crazy people are out here, you start to see a decay in our society, morally, financially, and everything else. So we're starting to see that, and it's just crumbling it from the inside. Eventually, there's going to be so many of them, we're not going to know what to do anymore. Except, I know what I would do, but I can't say that on camera.
Nobody, even though they keep saying that the Great Replacement is a myth, it's not. It's happening. So the native populations of Europe are close to, if not will be, overtaken within the next 20 years. They are not going to, they're going to, white Europeans are going to be the minority in their own native lands soon rather than later. And it's the same thing that's going to happen in the United States. And it's not just going to be the white population in the United States. It's going to be the black population and us.
Yeah.
Right. So like, you think that like we're going to get displaced first. It's not true. What's going to happen is that the black American, and I'm not talking about immigrants from Africa or anywhere else that happens to have a darker melanin count. I'm talking about the black American, ones that were here since the beginning, right? They are going to be overtaken by other minority groups, and their interests are no longer going to be served. And then it's going to happen to the white population until they have nobody to represent their views either. But that's what they want. That's all by design. They are trying to do that in Europe on purpose. They're trying to dilute. The only places in the world where you are allowed to dilute the majority population of the native lands, and it's fine. Remember when they said colonialism is bad? Well, that doesn't include Europe. Okay. Yeah. We need to import people from other places to make it non-white by at least half. That's the goal.
Yep.
And yes, so I did catch your pun. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, because they believe that, this is why they push that we're all colonizers. America stole this land. So they don't have a problem with other people doing the same thing that they think we've done. So it's okay. It's this tit for tat. Well, you guys done it. Why can't these people come in and steal it from you? Remember, you guys said, winner take all. So why not win? Exactly what they're trying to do. If you keep flooding people in that don't know the rules, eventually you can get rid of the Constitution. You can get rid of the Bill of Rights because they don't even know it. They don't understand it. So eventually you'll just start seeing rights getting taken away to where the populace at that point have no idea about the Constitution. And they can do exactly what they want after that.
Native Irish are an endangered group. If nobody understands that, like they were already endangered after the potato famine, but it's gotten even worse since then. Native Irish are constantly going down, and they keep importing more people into Ireland. So the native population is going down, and it's eventually going to disappear. You're not going to have Irish people anymore.
Well, France is going to become a Muslim nation in the next 2 or 3 generations, just by birth rate alone.
Yeah.
So I mean, let that sink in.
France.
But here's the thing. This is also another one of my kind of hot takes, conspiracy theory, mind you, situation is that eventually they're going to treat Europeans the same way they treated the Jews. They're going to kick them out of their native lands, and then it'll take them hundreds of years to fight for it back. Right. So like as they're doing in Israel, right, saying that this lands belong to them, we're going to have the same sort of fight with Europeans eventually down the road because all of them have been displaced and replaced by other populations.
Yeah.
I want to remind people again that just like we've been saying, I apologize to Joe Biden for not believing that you're an honest man. You lie about a lot of things, but the stuff that we're seeing now, you kind of told us, and we did not, at least some of us didn't compute that you were capable of doing exactly what you had planned. And so in that vein, I want to remind people of this clip that happened before him and Camel Toe won. Okay?
I remember this one.
But all kidding aside, I've known you my whole life, most of you. I've worked with you my whole life, most of you. I've been around doing this for a long, long time. I don't always get it right, but I always take responsibility. When I get it wrong, I acknowledge I got it wrong. But my overarching objective, if we cannot make significant progress on racial equity, this country is doomed. It is doomed, not just because of African Americans, but because by 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. Hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics, who make up a larger portion of the population than y'all do in terms of raw numbers. We're going to have to.
Okay.
Yep.
And what is happening? Exactly that, because right now the battling number is 45 to 47 million of the Black American population. And right now, the Hispanic American or even the Hispanic population is somewhere in the region of 39 to 50. If you don't count the illegal side of it, if you count the illegal, they're easily over 60. Okay, so I just want people to understand that he did say this was going to happen, and what's been happening, exactly what he said.
So so let me see if I can also interject this point. So you have the African American population demographic hovering roughly between 12 and 15% annually, but then you also have a growing tide of Hispanics to where they're encroaching the 11-12% to become on par with that of the Black population, and more so because If we are going to be counting the illegals, that number is going to skyrocket to the point where we're talking about them becoming quarter, 35, 40% of the population, on par with the white population, which makes up what, 70%?
Yep. Right now, 65-ish now. They've been going down.
That may be skewed though. We don't actually know what the real numbers are because there's a lot of people that designate themselves as when they're mixed or not as one thing or another. So we don't actually have pure numbers of what actually exists because people keep lying on the forums. Like we don't know.
And that's not pure enough because a lot of people don't even take the census. You know what I mean?
Don't.
So those numbers can be either up or down. We don't know. There can be more, it can be less.
So as I said before, what I said before isn't about race. It's about pure numbers. And I think this guy in Chicago brings it up the best in what he says. And it's not just me. It's not just us. People are starting to wake up to it of what's actually happening.
Bro, no, let me ask you. Can you help me with the solution you'd like to see me do?
Surely, I can help you with the solution. I can give you I give you one simple answer. Send them back. That's the only solution. That's it. Other than that, they will surpass us. It is math. It's simple math. They will overtake us in numbers at the rate that they have kids. They cannot be U.S. citizens. You are dooming our next generation to subservitude. I'm telling you this.
Okay.
It's just simple math.
I know, but
That's it. It's simple math.
I'm very good at math. Let me share something with you. Most of the persons that are here right now, under the technical definition, do not qualify for asylum.
I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about the children that they have. They will be U.S. citizens, and they will have a voting block. All we have to do now is look at the Hispanic voting block they have now. They get everything they want. Look at our communities. You should see the schools that they have as compared to the.
So that's the main point, is that it's not about the people here. It's about the children that will be born from them.
Yeah.
And just like you said, in just terms of pure numbers, not race, not like any other ideology. We're talking about pure numbers. The population, the native population that exists here today or anywhere else in Europe is going to be replaced by the immigrants who are bringing in and the people that are born there. And if they never assimilate and they don't hold the same values as you, especially in the United States, you're going to lose your rights. It's just pure numbers.
Facts.
You're muted, Marlon.
Yeah, you can't avoid it. It's not something that you can just gloss over. The numbers bear out exactly that, and it happens every time. And let's look at the UK, or better yet, look at Italy. Okay, they had to go under some really, really crazy time because the migrant problem is just getting out of control over there, and eventually people have to start rioting. But even with that rioting, has anything changed? No. It's not changed, and it's not going to, because the plan is not to let it change.
Well,
this is why I say I don't think the 2024 thing will happen, is because they don't allow for that change to take place. If imagine this. Just suppose, by some fluke, which I think would end up being a fluke, that Trump does win. Let's say he wins. Do you really think they're going to allow him to accomplish anything with as much progress as they've made with the destruction of America? You think they're going to let that man accomplish anything? You think they were attacking him in 2016? You thought they were attacking him for the last 3 years? You ain't seen nothing. They're not going to hold anything back with that, which is why I keep saying, use this time now to get your mental right, get your foundation right, figure out what you actually want. Because trust me, as much as people might think he's going to save this and he's going to save that, he might just give you a cushion. That is it. He might just be able to give you a little breathing room in your mindset anyway, not anywhere else, in your mindset, about at least being able to breathe a little bit so you can catch your bearings. After that, remember, this is his last 4. If he gets this 4, he's not going to be coming back. Now, imagine who they got in the wheelhouse waiting. Let's take a look, shall we? Okay, let's go. We have the Democrats, and say they don't have anybody. They have Kamala. Now, if Kamala wins, she gets another 4, right? If she wins a back-to-back, so she's there for 8. Now, any other Republican that gets in there is going to start wars. I'm telling you now. Any Republicans, they're not going to allow somebody that's not going to push war. So what do you think is going to happen to America in the next 16 years? Are you ready for what America is going to look like in 16 years? In 16 years, we are going to end up being an absolute hellhole.
Yeah, unless we get Vivek or like Tulsi after Trump, or somebody like them.
That's a big if.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
it's just going to be more war.
It's a big if, and that's a problem, because a lot of people are hinging their bets on the next person coming in to save something.
Mm-hmm.
You look, it's a great thought, wonderful idea, great wish. I don't think it'll happen.
You know, the only way I can see us getting a large enough cushion is if he just dismantles the whole deep
He has
state.
to just,
Like,
he has to do
like
it.
he's been saying. I mean, and he put out a statement not too long ago about everyone that's corrupt, cheaters, fraud, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be put behind bars, and that needs to be his main focus. You know, push his economic policies, because the economy is real big with citizens right now. But push that out, and then his main focus needs to start going after and exposing the corruption and holding them accountable, putting them behind bars if they need to put them. It don't matter who it is, all the way at the top, all the way at the bottom. Keep certain people like George Soros out of our country. Keep Klaus Schwab out of our country. Anybody that's here to destroy our country and that's not an American elected official that's trying to make decisions on how we operate, you need to push them out. You need to make things like communism and Marxism illegal in America, like they did in 1948. Anybody that's teaching that in any school will be prosecuted.
Yeah,
that's what I would do. That's president.
You know, it's interesting to me that they always complain about Russia interfering with elections, but then they allow Soros, who is a Hungarian native, to influence U.S. elections with money. I just want to point that out there. Like, this guy is helping get elected prosecutors all over the nation, but he's not influencing elections. He's not influencing policy when he's not even an American. He's not even a citizen. I just want to point that out there. Like, this guy is doing that, but he also said that he's going to bring in Elon Musk to audit the government, which is going to be really funny to watch that autistic man work his magic with all those numbers and him go down the rabbit hole of what the government's actually spending our money on and how much waste there probably is in there. And he's going to find all that money and he's going to find out where it went. And then people are going to see what we've already seen is we know where it went. It went into all the pockets of everybody else in the military industrial complex. It went into black budgets. It went into all kinds of things except for you. It went to everybody else's pockets.
And I want him to show that all on X live. You know, when XTV comes out, everything that he finds, put it up, boom, for the world to see. That's how you start exposing these people. Because a lot of these smooth brain Americans out here, like we was talking earlier, only believe it if it comes from experts or approved sources. They don't care to research it and see it with their own eyes and just see the numbers and be like, wow, there's a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse going on. They don't care because the experts didn't tell them. The headline liberals.
Why would you believe a network that gets less than 100,000 views?
Yeah, but you won't believe a person that's speaking directly from the source. Person, civilian with 2 billion views to their video. It's crazy, but you only, and like I said, on the unfortunate thing is that people now, and again, thanks to Bush, everyone heard this "No Child Left Behind" and all the feelings went up in the sky. Now you have a population of people who don't know how to critically think. Okay, because you were no child left behind. Even though you're a retard, you got pushed up into the next bracket of schooling when you didn't deserve to be there. And what happens now? What did that lead to? It led to a dropping of the standard. So now you don't have to have a higher standard. It dropped even more. And now it's even lower. So what does that do? You think you're accomplishing something? No, you're making children stupid. You're telling them that this is what bad parenting is. Your child is a moron. You can tell your child you're not smart. And then you send them to school and the teacher says, you're so smart. And you know everything that you need to know. And then you go out into the world and the people tell you, you're so smart, but you don't know jack squat. And then when information comes to you, you don't know how to process that information because you have no critical thinking skills. You can't even read and comprehend. And then when you actually get information, you're only going for the sensationalism because you've been banking your whole life on feelings. I feel good about myself. I feel. And that's what you have the next generation as. The next generation are brain dead lemmings and they don't have a concept of what it means to actually functionally work through a sentence, work through a statement, work through what they see. They can't do it. It's impossible for them. It's not even like they can learn it now. It's too late. Their brain is mush. And we've allowed it.
And Marlon, you know how many times I've said, get rid of your TikTok, your TikTok attention span and use a podcast attention span, because TikTok, a lot of these social media platforms are the cause of it also. And we're guilty of it. You want to see 15 seconds of something, you take it in, and then a lot of people run with that. And then they just repost it and repost it and repost it and repost it. Everybody's reposting the same thing. 90% of the stuff I see on TikTok as a headline, I will go inside of X. I will go inside and look it up for myself. Then I'll look it over to see if it's legit. Do I post some parodies? Sometimes, of course. But that's the problem. People are so used. This is why people don't watch podcasts. This is why people don't watch stuff like that. They're used to the mainstream media. Headline: Donald Trump said something bad. And on to more news. A cat jumped out of a tree, and so all they got was Donald Trump did something bad. It's the same thing with social media. You get your 15 seconds of glory to read a headline, and you keep it moving. Then you want to walk around and talk like you're freaking informed. You're not informed. You're a bunch of smooth brain lemmings. You got the freaking attention span of a freaking gnat, and a potato is smarter than 90% of you guys.
Isn't that kind of crazy that we got here?
Yeah, most 11-year-olds in the United States can't read. I want you to understand that statement real good. Most 11-year-olds in the United States can't read. And you think that our education system is doing a good job, and you still think it deserves to be funded by tax dollars. Yeah. Yep. Because 11-year-olds can't read. Well, but as long as they know their pronouns and their genders.
Yeah. Right? They get their gender affirming care, though.
Yeah.
They don't know their ABCs,
but it's also, it's not them. It's most people can't tell the difference between satire and truth anymore either. Yep. Like they look at a headline and they take it as gospel from the get-go, even though most headlines are misleading and not factual in themselves. Even in the articles, when you read them, they say what the headline was false. We just put it there for clicks.
Yep.
Imagine this. In about 5 years' time, the Babylon Bee will be looked at as though it's actual right-wing news.
It already is.
No. I mean on a national scale.
Like a Fox News level type deal?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That'd be crazy.
I wish it wasn't true. But
it goes to show us that there's a lot of people that are not smart, and some of it's not their fault, some of it is.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that should have been taken care of. There was actually a comedian that brought this up. I thought it was funny. Is that we should bring back classic bullying?
Yes.
So that we wouldn't have so we wouldn't have school shooters anymore. We should bring back bullying, because then they would know that if they did something wrong, there would be consequences from somebody. Because that's what we have today, is lack of consequences for people acting out of their emotions. So a lot of these things that happen are people in their emotions acting out in ways that aren't appropriate. So maybe if you're being a little weird, you should be bullied for it.
I agree.
I'm not saying that bullying is right. I'm just saying that sometimes people need to be checked. There's a lot of youngins out there that pretend they're big and bad that haven't been checked by adults properly, so that they get put in their place. Just like any other animal kingdom in the world, in this world, the adults check the pups when they're acting out of line. That's how they've always acted. That's how we've always been. But because adults stop checking children, they're getting out of control.
Exactly.
And it's to the point where parents are becoming friends, or they're soft parenting in order to be liked, rather than understand that they have an authority to raise these kids properly to survive.
And don't get me twisted. I'm talking about abusing your children. I'm talking about just corrective behaviors. Like a dog doesn't abuse a pup because it nips at him. It's corrective behavior. That's what you have to do as an adult, is corrective behavior to these young pups who are acting out of line.
It's crazy. But no, I want to close with this guy, because he said it best, and he said it a while back now. And yes, he can be a little bit crass, but that doesn't mean that he's not honest about it. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody should know who this is.
Oh, yes.
George Carlin. Okay.
God, what would he be like if he was alive today?
Oh my God, he'd have been forever.
He'd be 1,000 years old.
Canceled.
He'd have been canceled, like
Me Too, everything, the whole nine.
He'd have been gone. But he did say something very efficient about what we just talked about, and I want.
That is true.
Now, mind you, this was the 70s, 80s, okay? 80s, 90s, he was telling us this. Okay? And that was happening while he was younger. He saw this nonsense going on.
And yet here we are, with people being unable to read at an 8th grade reading level.
Yeah.
And Marlon and I talked about, I think we mentioned this, it's a generational thing. You started to see it, like, at least I did. I'm Gen X. kind of started to see it a little bit, you know, and then as Gen Z or the millennials came around and so on and so on, you started seeing the education, you know, the comprehensions to start to decline, you know, slowly. So, and we're there now. We're there.
Yeah. Most people can't comprehend anything that they actually read, and they have to reread it over and over again. The majority of people in the United States only read at maybe a 6th grade level. That's it.
Yeah.
This Constitution right here has been written at an 8th grade reading level. And now you know why some of these people don't even know their own rights.
They can't read at 8th grade.
Because they can't understand it. They can't comprehend it. But then you look at the difference between Asia and the United States in terms of education. And it's like, well, they can read. They can do a lot of things. If you think that making your children stupid are going to help the country, you're wrong. And dumbing down standards isn't going to help anybody. It's going to make things worse. And eventually you will be replaced, because that's how the market works. You will be replaced with something better. Eventually, that's what happens.
Hey, look, it's a proven thing that if you want something to look good, cover your eyes. Just cover your eyes. You can imagine anything you want if you just cover your eyes. Everything will be fine. You know?
There's no place like home.
I see nothing. I hear nothing. I speak nothing.
There's no place like home.
As much as people might want to say, you know, that we have a way out, there might be a random few of us that have a way out. But unfortunately for the rest of America, the ones that give into this nonsense, there is no way out for them. They will give into what we are going to see. What was that movie? Idiocracy come to life. Yeah, we're going to see it happen before too long. It's already halfway there. The kids won't be able to put square and square hole. They'll be trying to fight between the square and the circle and the semi. They'll be fighting that because that's how stupid they'll be. I don't want to curse kids, but understand this: unless you homeschool your kid or pay attention to them and question them on things, they're going to slip through the crack just like everybody else. You don't need to depend on those people for your kids. That's why you are the parent, not them. It was why they're trying to take the power away from you. The more we teach our kids that the next generation are going to be the ones to possibly get their legs under them. Don't know what will happen, but I'm not being a pessimist. I'm just trying to tell you that this is reality. Okay, this is where they put us. We may be able to salvage a few 10, 15 more years out of this, but after that, I weep for the state of the United States. I weep because the national population is going downhill quick. So
here's my final thought. I'm trying to remember this quote, but I can't. But to kind of paraphrase it is, if you don't know your rights, then you're going to be ruled by your betters, right? So the people that exist today think that they are your betters, and because you're too stupid to understand your own rights, you're being ruled by your betters.
Facts.
And then meanwhile, a Haitian is in your backyard eating Fido.
Yeah. So sad for
your Cheshire cat. No, our debater guy didn't show up, which proves that most people who talk smack on the internet are simple pussies. And so when they try to come to you and say that I'll debate you, challenge them. Say, okay, bet. And I guarantee they'll shut up real quick. They won't even worry about coming back to talk to you. Just like this little simp that tried to say he could say something to us and we're paid by Russia. He's an awful lot like his owners, who are Kamala and Joe, and he hides in his basement when he's challenged. So next time you see this podcast, Mr. Whoever you are, I'm not even going to try and honor your name. Mr. You're a loser.
Yeah.
You're a lame. You have no spine. You're all mouth, and you would never be able to stand up to the four of us. Heck, you wouldn't stand up to no one on the screen. You couldn't even get your point across if we all shut up. So there. Nope. Next time you try to corner us into a corner and realize that there's no wall behind us, and we'll just throw you over the edge. Maybe check him out next time, and it won't get you into trouble. So we'll be back on Monday. I do, however, want to talk about what the possibility is of finding out whether or not Kamala had I want to investigate that whole earring.
There's two options. One, she either had an earring that gave her information, or two, she had a really expensive Tiffany earbring.
I could see both of them.
Technically, I did read that they were very expensive Tiffany earrings, but it's kind of ironic that Tiffany makes that earbud.
Yeah.
Like that. So they did say they were Tiffany earrings.
Yeah, they admitted that,
but they weren't the earbud.
But the thing is, the woman who's saying she came from a middle-class family and that she knows what it's like to struggle, right, is wearing a earring piece that probably costs more than your average salary in the United States. That's just my point on that.
Facts.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So we'll catch you Monday.
Well, actually, speaking of which,
what?
I do
That's
want,
right.
yeah, I
ahead.
do want to let everyone know that here on the Savage Patriots tomorrow, it's an impromptu broadcast where I would like to go over Kamala's policies that she dropped a day before the debate. So
Nice.
join me Saturday at
Good
6
breakdown.
p.m. and we'll break everything down.
Make sure you all check it out. It's Too Strong will be on tonight. We are discussing a little tiff that Charlie Kirk had with a quite deranged young man who tried to equate cows being raped with why is it okay for cows to be raped but not little children. This was his actual statement.
Was that during his 25 verse 1?
I don't even know.
It was.
But that one took the cake.
Holy
How you gonna ask a question if it's okay to rape a cow? Why is it not okay to rape a kid? I think officially I have lost faith in every bit of humanity. It is. Wow.
I tell
That's
you,
what we're left with. So.
half-wits are more dangerous than no-wits. I'm telling you, every single time they are more dangerous.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they believe they know everything when they know nothing.
You'll hear it yourself, and you'll hear the kind of gymnastics he has to make his point. But I'm warning you, if it pissed me off, but after a while I was like, no, he couldn't mean that. But then we thought MK Ultra. So it could happen. It could easily happen where they're just brain dead and he doesn't know what he's saying.
Man.
So we'll catch you guys on Too Strong in about an hour, and then we'll see you Saturday. It'll be Lee, 6 p.m. right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Eastern, 6 p.m. Eastern here, and then we'll be back on Monday on Savage Patriots. Mr. Lee,
like, share, comment, subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll all see you Monday. Peace.
We out.
War.